Hi, Isaac in Karachi. This is Fala Siddiqui, TLT Creative and Innovation. And with me, I have Eman Yasser, Regional Sales Head, Outgoing Global Volunteer. So today we would be discussing with Iman how do we have how is it to be a EB member, what challenges she has to face, what are the pros and cons, what experiences did she go with. So, Iman, could you start off? So, the first question that I have for you is what led you to apply for the EB position? I know you might have your goals and a few aspirations in your mind before applying for the EB position. So, what led to you actually applying for that position? What was your
Um,
motivation?
so hi Fala, thank you firstly for having me and giving me this space where I can share my experience and I hope I'm able to truly portray my thoughts and feelings. So firstly, what led for me to apply to this ED position is actually that I think I said this in my presentation also. OGV is very close to my heart. It is a portfolio that I truly love. So standing for the LCVP position obviously is it's the biggest kind of reward in terms of that. So I obviously wanted to give another year to OGV firstly for the love of the portfolio. Also, um, I've also heard from my seniors that it is truly a very different experience when you're working with seven individuals, when you're heading a portfolio. It's very different. It's a different kind of experience that I wanted um, in my life or
Yeah.
like a part of my journey. So that led me to apply for this position. Obviously, the people who I was applying with were all my friends, so it was exciting. We wanted to do this together, and I'm glad I landed with a few of them in the EV
So,
position. So
Iman,
yeah, it was mostly that.
so basically,
Yeah.
you wanted to lead individuals, right? You wanted to teach them stuff and have and portray an image or lead
Yeah,
stuff,
that
right?
is actually that is actually very correct because when I was a TLD, I noticed when I was working with other TLDs, there were certain tips and tricks that helped me get approvals, and I was like, "Okay, why don't we implement this on a more strategic level?" So when those tips and tricks turned into strategy, and that is how I was able to do my first approval in Pakistan post resumption. So obviously, it is all the knowledge that we acquire. We come in a position, we work with it, and overall, it was a great experience.
Were you able to
Yeah.
come out of your comfort zone which when you got this role?
I want to be very honest that I generally am not a very, I'm a very extroverted person. So that was not a thing for discomfort for me. What particularly was hard for me was to work with a new set of individuals where you all share the same position. And I think that was one of the things that I was a little nervous about because when we work in a setting of as a TLD or as a member, the interaction or the things that we do not really affect a lot, right? So
Yeah.
I think communication is the key. The executive body got along really well. I think we bonded a lot. There was a lot of interaction between us, and I think that is what helped me come out of the comfort zone. We now trust each other. We work with each other. So I think communication is definitely very important. And I also want to give a lot of this credit to Harun because I think October mein bane the,
Yeah.
and our term officially starts in January. But from October only, we started interacting with each other. We started easing into our portfolios, and overall, I think that the starting it at a very early, I think even before our term started, that kind of communication, that is what actually got us out of the comfort zone.
So, Iman, what was your biggest motivation to apply for the EB role?
I would like to take a friend's name over here, a senior name, Minal. She's not in Isaac anymore, but she was the first person I was introduced to in Isaac, and she's always been a senior. She made me fall in love with OGV. So I think she was a big part of the motivation because you don't want to let some people down in your life. She had so much of faith, I think, in me that I am equipped to this role, although I'll be completely candid in this podcast that there were a lot of people who were not happy with me standing up. I don't know if they saw me as a threat or they just thought I was incompetent enough. She was my biggest motivation. Seeing her work in OGV was just something that was really inspiring for me, and I really wanted to put that, in my portfolio, in my strategies. So I think she was a big motivation, and not letting her down was an even bigger motivation for me.
Okay, so I really want to know, how were you able to bond with your team and act as a leader? Like, I really want some tips and tricks because I've been,
So my
yeah,
first term team was all girls, and think I've worked with brilliant people. Ushna, Zainab, Myra. It was very easy to communicate
yeah,
with them, and I don't think it was a strategy. It was just me being me. I think a lot of things that people often don't realize is that they try to fit into a
yeah, they try
specific
to blend.
leadership profile. Yeah, you
Yeah,
just have to be yourself, and I was that with them. We had a WhatsApp group. We would talk about random stuff. If I'm attending a shadi, I would probably send a picture of myself dressed up. So I think at this, I was just being myself. I don't really think I had a strategy to bond with my members. Once you
yeah,
start being your true self with them, eventually your members will also open up, and should have the trust that they can come to you
yeah.
with your issues, and they can be themselves with you. So I think ek dafa ye you figure out
I
this,
see that.
then working with your members is halwa, super easy.
Because हाँ लोग इतना डरते हैं. Your members are actually the perception they have in their head about you. Oh, they'd probably be egoistic. ये तो because they're in power. They'll barely teach us anything क्योंकि इनको तो आता है. And they'll just shove us with work and whatnot, right? So this
I
perception.
think also it's very important to give your members the freedom to do the work according to
Mhm.
them,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But talking about members, how did you deal with members who you knew aren't working and बस आपको काम उनसे कराना है लेकिन वो कर ही नहीं रहे, आप क्या करेंगे फिर?
Actually,
And he's making
मुझे
excuses, big time excuses.
Oh God, the excuses that I've heard. Some of them are just like I would just be like, मैं भी एक time पे member थी, मैं
Yeah,
भी TLD थी. I know these excuses, but it was that excuses are fine. I understand we're all university students. We're going through a lot. I find it actually really funny, but there is a limit and there's a boundary. When serious work is met with excuses, I think that's when it's a problem. Sometimes it's unfair that other people are working and then you don't work. Why do you get that leverage? And
yeah,
especially
exactly. Hmm.
a task that is pressing, needed, then I think excuses are very immature because we signed up for this organization, which is कोई excuse देता है. Even when I'm ranting to
Yeah,
myself, it is that I signed up for this.
yeah,
You know,
exactly. No one forced you to
nobody,
do it, right?
nobody
You took that
forced
responsibility
it,
on
and
your.
I a little leverage can be given, but let's not make it a habit. That's I think all I'll say about this.
Yeah, same because I've been through this. And okay, in your EB experience, so what have you learned from this opportunity, irrespective of doing communicating, like you just said, कि आपको communication skills अच्छी हुई now. You can work with a set of individuals, though it's very scary at first, but आपको एकदम से
Hmm.
जब करने शुरू होते तो आपको आदत है. Irrespective of that, what else? And what is it that you would miss the most? Because after the term is about to end, like honestly, it's gonna be so weird not to have you guys on board. But yeah, please enlighten.
So functionally, obviously, बहुत चीजें सीखी through OGV. There were things that I did not know about as a TLD or director that now I know as an LCVP. There is a commission. So speaking to people from different local chapters was something new. So there is a lot that I have learned, but the most I've learned from this role is about myself. When I was taking up this role, I was very scared that I might not be able to manage because when you डरा देते हैं भाई workload है, बहुत
Yeah,
workload है. But I guess that eventually when you're working with it, you realize that it is very manageable. You just need
yeah,
to understand your work, and once you've understood it I've also learned that there are things when I'm working with people that I need to work on. I have a problem in which it is difficult for me to trust people with my work. And I think this is something that I've been very candid about to my members. You know, usually LCVPs ये चीजें नहीं बताते हैं. मैंने उनको बताया मुझे मसला है. I don't trust people with my work and I want you guys to help me with it. And I think now I've reached a place where I can assign work without being anxious and, because I know they'll handle it.
Yeah.
So this is one thing that this term has taught me to trust people, to um, work through things, work time management, interacting with different people. Her member different hai, so dealing each member differently, understanding their motivations, and that is all a part of an LCP's job. Also, I don't just
Yeah.
need to run a portfolio; I also need to be there for my members. So yeah.
Out of all of this, I love the fact you've actually acknowledged your problems and you've let it out. Like that's pretty rare. Like even I do that, but that
Now the
takes a
entire
lot of
Karachi and Pakistan will know my problem. Go ahead.
but that takes a lot of courage. People most of the time people don't even realize where they're lacking or what they're doing wrong because blame game, right? And you
Yep.
have to play the victim. So, okay, then tell me what would you recommend members who are planning to apply for this EB role?
First and foremost, I think I will not be a very typical person and say, "Okay, please apply, करें, it's a great opportunity." You guys already know it's a great opportunity, and that's why you might even be considering it. But all I would say is that make sure that you know your reasons why you're applying. That is very important, and make sure your heart is in it. I've seen a lot of people 6 months down their role, they just don't want to do it anymore. And then your portfolio suffers, your members suffer, your other portfolios also suffer because technically we all work in synergy, right? So I think all I would say is that know the reason why you're applying, have goals in mind, know what you want to do with this portfolio because that's obviously going to be a driving force for you. And most importantly, what do you want to take away from this for your personal growth? Obviously, I definitely recommend everyone to apply for this role. It's a great role, great learning, but also make sure that your heart is in it. When you fill that hefty booklet out, I think you will know whether you want to go through with it or not. So, yeah, that is going to be my
Love your recommendation. Gonna take notes on this.
recommendation. I hope to see
Thank
you
you,
apply too.
inshallah. Thank you so much for having us and being part
You're
of this
welcome.
podcast.
Thank you for having me, Fala.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.